Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Belly's Brewing. This time I'm going to be cooking an Imperial New England lager. The reason why is I found I had some of the hops and I also had some of the malt left over. There's the recipe: 2 kilograms of Pilsner, 400 grams of Vienna, 200 grams of Cara Gold with Amarillo and Fuggles hops. Nice and simple, and some Mangrove Jack's Bavarian lager yeast. Today I'm doing it in my Klarstein kettle, and I've set the mash water to turn off at 67 degrees. And while I was in the garage today, I've been banished from the kitchen after last night. The reason why I'm doing this is I need to get a bit of stock of for lager for Christmas, and I also got a couple of 5-litre fermenting vessels, aka Tesco still water things, which are a lot cheaper to buy than the ones from the home brew shops. And then here I've got quite a lot of my brewing equipment. I've got barrels, buckets, boxes of bottles, boxes of cider, kegs, all sorts of things. It's just bonkers in here, just bonkers. Anyway, I've got the water coming up to mash temperature soon, and then I'll continue. Oh, there's the malt all weighed out. Nice big fat tub from. The estimated ABV of this beer should be about 6.4%. It's different from the normal sort of stuff I've done because I've never actually done a cold ferment. This one, it needs to be in the garage at 10 degrees for 5 days, in the house at 16 degrees for 3 days, and then another garage ferment with dry hopping after 7, 8 days. So it'll be interesting to see how this one turns out. Come back to you soon. Right, my water's nearly up to temperature, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spend a moment talking about single step mashers and enzymes. It's a strange thing. If you mash it at a lower temperature, you favour something called beta amylase, which creates a drier flavour and more alcohol, while a mash at 68 degrees pushes the balance to alpha amylase and a sweeter, more full-bodied beer. You can tweak that balance by hitting each of the optimal ranges and adjusting the time. So 40-minute rest, blah blah blah. You can look this up on the internet. It's all very, very technical. But I actually fancy a dry lager, so I'm going to try this time to go mash it a little bit lower than normal, at 64 degrees instead of 66, which I normally go at. So I'm going to get my grain in and I'll come back to that. Right, like I showed in my previous video, I like to get the grain in. Oh, I might as well show you this while I'm at it. The Klarstein, it's got an internal grain bucket with a fine mesh at the bottom of it. So I'm cooking, instead of doing it in the grain bag, in the pan like I showed in my previous video, I'm just doing it in this. And once again, let's get my grain, just carefully push it in, get the angle right, and don't forget it all down the side. There we go. Give it a bit of a stir as it's going in. There we go, all in. It's a thick one, this one. And get some water off. I'm going to pull some water off, get it on. very thick. Right, I'm back. A little bit of a faff around then. The water calculations were a little bit low, so I had to get some more water to get into the mash and get it up to temperature, which it's gone slightly over what I wanted at 64.8, but it's still within what I want. And I'll just keep it in there, keep it stirred on the Inkbird, 64.7. So I'll just pop the top on, come back to it every couple of minutes, give it a little bit more of a stir, and while that's happening I'll get on with me hopping. A little bit more about the Klarstein Mash tun. This is a 25 litre one. It's about £209. The prices go up or down. Just look on their website. They're the cheapest place. Comes directly from Germany and via UPS, and it's as cheap as you'll get it on Amazon or whatever. It's I've insulated it with some Alutech stuff around the outside, and it's got a twin wall. You can just see the ridge, and with the air gap between that and the mash bin, it holds the temperature really well. I mean, I've only lost half a degree in the last half hour, so it is working well. Haven't had to turn the heat on, and you know, if I want to get more work round it, I just draw some off into the measuring jug and sprinkle it on and keep stirring it. That's the main thing, keep stirring it. But for £209 compared to £650, £700 for the Grainfather, you can buy an awful lot of beer making material for that. Right, I'm back. One thing I was thinking of while I was doing this, one of the disadvantages of the Klarstein is that the heat sensor is right at the bottom of the tank, on top of the element. So any wort which drains out through the false bottom, that's the temperature which it works at. This is why I think the Inkbird sensor is much better, because you actually put the probe directly into the mash and you're getting the mash temperature, and that's the thing which is important. You want to keep that temperature over the hour that you're mashing, not a hot spot at the bottom. So you might be getting wort which is 68 degrees at the bottom, cooling down, and if it's not being recirculated, this is one of the reasons why the Grainfather and the Bulldog brew systems are a bit better, and I have to keep moving stuff round. But I've managed to keep it plus or minus half a degree for 45 minutes, 9 minutes to go. I've also got a bit bored, so I've practiced a few tunes on my little ukulele, and having a nice little taste of some Goose IPA, which I made yesterday. I'll be getting my sparge water on, and I'll come back to that next step. I've dropped my mash tun down onto my little decorating step up, because I need to lift the inside drum out so the wort can drain out from the grains. What I do is I lift it up by the handle, and what happens with the Klarstein is there's this stainless steel collar which fits on top of it. Then the drum fits on top of that and it drains through. I can't show that because I'm holding the camera in my hand and it'd be a bit hard to do. So what I'll do is I'll get that set up and then show you the next stage. Ta-da! And there it is on top, and the wort is now dripping out into the bottom, and I'll go and get my sparge water and use my patented sparging technique using my mechanical sparge arm and my jug, and I'll sparge the wort out of the grains. Back again. Sparge is nearly finished. The grains are very fine in this, and it took quite a while to drain through. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to lift off the drum and stick it. So I've got the heater on. There's my sparged grain. It's in a tin waiting for the last little bits to come out, and I'll shove that in. And I'm just going to turn the heating up to about 104 degrees to keep the rolling boil going. So we're up to a good rolling boil now, very quickly, much quicker than doing it on the gas. And I'm going to chuck in my first hop addition for 60 minutes. And I tested the original gravity of the wort with my refractometer, and it's come out at 1055 from a pre-boil gravity of 1047, which is nice. I'm running the wort out from the tank with a siphon tube through another hop bag just to strain off all the rubbish that comes out. Makes it a lot easier in the long run. So that's my wort out, filtered, steaming away. I'm going to take it to the sink, cool it down, and report back when it's cooled. Okay, I've cooled my wort down in the sink. It's quite a thin walled pan, this, so it's a fairly good heat exchanger. I've got it down to 25.2. What I'm doing now is just splashing it a bit to get a bit of oxygen in. And someone said to me, doesn't it defeat the object? You're trying to minimise contact with the air to avoid bacterial infection, but you're also splashing lots of air into it to get the oxygen into it. Well, I suppose it's a risk you have to take at some stage, but I've been to breweries where they've done exactly the same thing. They force inject oxygen from a tank into it, but it's a fact that yeast does need oxygen to work. So, you know, a minute or so here, get it in. I'm just going to turn the tap on a little bit more. I'm using it like an overflow system. I wouldn't recommend this this system if you on a water meter. And what I'm going to do is I've worked out I've got just 10.6 litres. I'm going to put it in this small carboy, which I've filled with sodium percarbonate solution, and I'm going to pour it in with a funnel over the sink and hopefully not spill any. And then I'll add the yeast, and in another video I'll let you know how it gets on.